Hey, my name is Matt and welcome to the Open Mic Room. Each episode I'll be chatting with a different guest to share some stories and discuss their music. So today I'm joined by Bradley the Shanty Man. Thank you so much for joining me today. Brad, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Bit sub.
Is it as hot where you are as it is in Essex? It's about 30 degrees today.
Probably on the same boat.
So where exactly are you based?
I'm based in Paynton, in Devon. It's also known as the English Riviera. I moved here in 2024, after spending 5 years down in Cornwall,
Right.
which I very much keep going back every year.
Lovely.
I got into shanties with a group called the Solo Shanty Man. Also, sort of the name Cornish people do listen to this do hag hour, which is also actually known in Cornish black to gold.
Okay, so can I ask you straight away, what would you define a shanty as? What is a shanty?
So, for anyone that doesn't know what a shanty is a working boat song. So back in like the 15, 16, 1700s, each sailing ship would hire a shanty man. Now, as you can imagine, I mean, nowadays we've got cruise ships. On a cruise ship, you'll have the entertainment team. They'll be keeping the vibe going, out in the atriums and all that sort of stuff. So technically, that's what a shanty man would do. He would be the man responsible for keeping the beat on the ship, keeping the atmosphere going, keeping it all positive and upbeat. Because back in them days, without someone keeping the beat or keeping the time, it probably would be a very boring trip.
Right. out on the water.
Out in the open seas.
Yeah, it's very similar to like the old war songs that are still strong today. And it is a battle being out on the water. So what got you into it?
Long story short, a friend of mine asked me, said, and this is while I was living in Cornwall, a small fishing village called St. Maurs, and a then friend of mine asked if I wanted to go to the neighbouring village, which is Port Scaffo. It's on the Roseland Peninsula in Cornwall. So I was like, yeah, let's go. And it was a Wednesday evening. So I was like, yeah, let's go. So I drove over. I went into the local pub there called the Blue and Feathers. And basically the guys were up out the back in the sort of little function room up at the back there. And we went up and they were just having singing a couple of songs, so I sort of joined in on a couple of them because I knew of them. And then I joined in on South Australia and then Cornwall, my home, and I said, "Can I join?" And they were like,
"Great,
absolutely." Long story short, that's when I joined them. I was there, was with them for a couple of years. I left because funnily enough, I actually stopped driving for almost a year.
Okay, why was that?
And then, so that was back down in Cornwall. I stopped driving for the year because, buy a new car, can't keep up the finances and all that sort of stuff. So I sort of gave the car up. So then I was always getting a lift off my next door for about 6 neighbours down. Jim, great guy, used to give me a lift to practice every Wednesday. And I felt bad, because I didn't want to keep relying upon him to keep bringing me to and fro,
Right,
so
but
I
you was happy
ended up
to.
leaving him. Yeah, so I ended up leaving him.
You ended up leaving him? What do you mean?
So I left. And we were all on good terms. I left because obviously, one, I felt bad for Jim keep giving me a lift every week, and I'm just, sort of thing. I'm like one of those, like, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, sort of thing. So if you do something for me, I'll do something for you, sort of thing. And I just felt bad. So I ended up leaving because obviously work was getting in the way. I had to change my days off around and all that sort of stuff. So I ended up leaving. Yeah, and that was the end of that. I'm still, on good terms with the guys that sing with them. So that's always a positive. Keep staying on good terms.
Yeah. So then what happened next? Was it a straight jump into being solo, or did something else happen before that?
No, so that took a bit of time. So we get to about 2024. I had enough of where I was working. So then I decided to be noticing a lot of my singing career has been revolved around chefing and working in kitchens, so I've had to find time to sing. So I handed my notice in. I went up, then I was like, right, I moved to painting. My mum and dad had moved to painting in 2020. So then I decided I'll move to painting, and then it was the end of February, beginning of March. I was like, sort of trying to find work, found work and all that sort of stuff. And then I saw a post here in Paynton. We have a Facebook group called Spotted Paynton.
Okay.
Whether we have similar in Essex is another question. Some of the gibberish you see on this Spotted Paynton is unbelievable. And I saw this post from the shanty group, and I was like, so I messaged them and I said, "There's any chance I could join you? I've been in a shanty group before, and I quite enjoy singing shanties and there and therefore." So I went up to a practice. I sat down with them, sang with them. Was with them for just, what we're talking, 24, tail end of 24, 25.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided I wanted to go solo because I love singing shanties, but I also love singing a bit of Irish folk.
Okay. So it just gives you more freedom and, to sing whatever you want.
Oh, exactly.
To watch the fishing fleets go, watch the sheep wheels at Devon as they spun around, and heard the men sing as they go underground, and no one will ever move me from this land until the Lord calls me to sit at his hand. For this is my Eden, and I'm not alone. For this is my Cornwall, and this is my home. I left childish footsteps in the soft sand and sand. I chased the maids there, old Giggly and Tam. I stood on the cliff top in a westerly glow, and heard the waves thunder on the rocks far below, and no one will ever move me from this land until the Lord calls me to sit at his hand. For this is my Eden, and I'm not alone. For this is my Cornwall, and this is my home. First thing in the morning, on chapel cambray, I gazed at the lilies in the blue far away. For this is my Cornwall, and I'll tell you why. Because I was born here, and here I shall die, and no one will ever move me from this land until the Lord calls me to sit at his hand. For this is my Eden, and I'm not alone. For this is my Cornwall, and this is my home. For this is my Cornwall, and this is my home.
Special guest appearance.
So that's what you do now. I like to structure this like a 3-song open mic. So what would be the song that you would kick things off with if we only heard one? What's your favourite shanty song?
I've got 3 starters. I've got 3 starters that I would go to. One of them is No Hopeless Jokers and Rogues, which is by
Fisherman's
Friends. Got to credit them, because if this goes out, when it goes out, you've got to credit these people, otherwise you get done for copyright infringement.
Yeah.
So No Hopeless Jokers and Rogues, which is quite a solid one to start
Very
on.
popular.
Yeah, but I do have another one that I tend to sort of like, it's just done a new one really that's just come into play, and that's 7 Bridges Roads by the Eagles.
Okay. The Eagles, as in the American...
Yeah, it's a good song. Listen to it. That's the only song they do a cappella. I mean, there is a bit of guitar, but the majority is sort of very a cappella. And I heard that one done by a fellow shanty group that I'm very good friends with, a group called Both at Scale. So I was at Cotwood Shanty Festival, and it was at the Royal British Legion on the Sunday, and they kicked off their set with that song, and I was completely drawn aback by it because I'd never heard this song before, and when they started singing it, I was like, this is brilliant.
Excellent. So that shows how versatile you can be as a solo act. You don't have to strictly be the old traditional shanties. You can bring in some more modern music, even though Eagles aren't particularly modern.
Yeah.
Great. You mentioned Fisherman's Friends there. I wanted to get your thoughts on that because they have made shanty music more well known than it probably would have otherwise been. I've enjoyed the film and the sequel. What are your thoughts on them? And particularly where you are in the southwest, what do people make of them now? I imagine they've brought a lot of tourism down as well, particularly to Port Isaac.
Especially to Port Isaac.
Yeah.
Isaac, yes. And obviously that's where Doc Martin was filmed as well. So you've got not only a TV series, but you've got the shanty crew as well from both areas, both places. Fisherman's Friends, they are what they are. They've they could have stayed like a normal shanty group and not gone big, but they decided, why not? Let's put shanties on a map. That follows along with like the Longest Johns as well. The Longest Johns are based in Bristol, but a lot of that, they sing the old songs, they sing some of their own songs, which keeps it interesting really, because it then amongst us other shanty groups and singers, we tend to deviate to the old songs and the new songs as well, because at the end of the day, singing the same old song gets boring, like it does with a generic party band at a pub. You get the same old finishers, like Mr. Brightside and Sex on Fire by the Kings of Leon. That's the sort of music you get. So with shanties, it's a bit more different because yes, you could finish on the likes of South Australia or the Wild Rover, but there is plenty of other songs out there that you could finish on.
On that subject, is there a particular unknown one that you like to sing? Is there one that comes to mind?
There is one that's just started to filter out. Yeah, there is one that's just started to filter out amongst the other shanty groups. It's called The Mermaid by the Clancy Brothers, featuring Tommy Mackham. It's it's a great little song, and that's sort of, for me, that's towards the end of my set. So I do The Mermaid, and then I do a song which was written by a local shanty crew in Exmouth called the Exmouth Shanty Men, and they do a song called Betty Stoggs, which is a Cornish bitter. And so for me, I tend to finish on Betty Stoggs. It's like, it's a very sort of, it's a bit like, and I'm drinking a pint of Betty Stoggs whilst I'm singing the song, sort of like, it's a bit like, I'll get a pint whilst I'm singing it, that's the sort of song it is for me. So my 2 finishes are The Mermaid and Betty Stoggs, but Betty Stoggs for me is the one that stands out as sort of not many people know.
What is that song about?
Well, it's about a beer. It's about a beer. So a chap in Cornwall called literally A Song About a Beer. So it's an old, basically the Exmouth Shanty Men designed it based on a working song. And basically I'll give you the opening verse. So the opening verse is, if you're under the weather or green around the girls, I know, alas, that I get your colour back and cure you off your rails. For rickets, plague or scurvy, or that flu you get from hogs, she'll set you right if you spend a night with Dr. Betty Stocks. So basically that's based on back in like the 15, 16, 1700s when you used to get all that sort of the illnesses that obviously nowadays are more curable, but you used to be able to, back then you weren't as cured. So that's the sort of the story it is. It's like, but hold on a minute, I know a beer that'll cure all of that.
Great.
It's a pint of Betty Stocks.
It's great advertising for the beer as well, isn't it?
Exactly, Skinner's Brewery.
I like that. So where are you playing at the moment? Where are you getting able to have your gigs?
Well, this week, the following week, the weekend just gone, I was at Totnes, which I'm actually there tomorrow. I was at Totnes Beer and Cider Festival, which is done by South Devon Camera, which is the campaign for Real Ale.
Yeah.
And then Saturday I was at a private event. Sunday I was at Hale Food and Music Festival, so I did an hour there. And that went down really well. Although a few technical hitches, sort of like the microphones, cables, this, that, and the other feedback and stuff. So, that's what I got. But I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it on the Sunday. It was great.
What type of feeling do you want to create at your shows? What do you want someone to leave with?
To the point where they're like, oh, yeah, we'll go back again. We're going to see him again. That's the feeling I want people. For me, I just want people to enjoy the music, whether it be with a group or just a cappella. I want people to enjoy the music. And that's, for me, that makes it more happy for me. And if I see people bobbing around or joining in on the chorus, then it makes it all worthwhile, because that's the whole reason of shanties. You sing the chorus and you get people joining in, and then that's what you want. You want people joining. You want people to enjoy themselves whilst drinking a pint of beer.
Yeah, you always see with videos of shanties being played, often in pubs, and everyone stood up, even behind the bar, they're singing along. Do you encourage sort of crowd participation?
Absolutely. The crowd are my sailors. That's what I push for. They're part of my crew. The audience are my crew, If I'm singing and again, if you know the words, join in. That's what I ask for. If people know the words, they'll join in. And that's the whole reason I love shanties, and especially when people can join in on the words as well.
Are you writing some of your own, or are you quite happy with what you've?
I've written a couple of my own.
You do? Yes, and do you play those?
I have. I've written them, but I think one of my early YouTube videos is I actually put it up there, and I put it up on Facebook as well. So I've got two. One of them's about, both of them are similar. So one's about Nancy. Nancy is a maid. She comes from Gosport, and then she ends up in Brixham.
Right.
Believe it or not, she goes from one seaport to another port. And then the other one is about a man. Most of my songs are about men, women, and drink, which nowadays can be misconstrued as the love triangle. So the love triangle is a man and a woman. Originally, the man chooses to drink, but then he relents, goes back to the woman, and then all three of them live happy ever after, sort of thing. So I've written a sort of like a love folk song called My True Love Light.
Okay, tell me about that one.
It's a song about, so the story behind that is the love triangle. It's the man, the woman, and the drink. And obviously the man goes off thinking, no, I don't need you. I'm quite happy with the drink, sort of thing. Goes off down the harbour, drinking this bottle. And he's like, I'm very happy with you. You make my life happy, sort of thing. And he wakes up one morning with a stinker of a hangover. And the woman looks at him and says, well, he said, maybe you're right. Maybe I'm better off being with you than the drink. Later on, they sort of, he then moderates his drinking, moderates it. So and then they all live happily ever after. So that's the story behind that tune. So it's a love folk song, and I do want to try and sing it out on the open mic circuit, but I've just got to try and figure out that little tune that'll be just right.
That sounds really good. I want to hear that. And is it a true story?
One day. It's not a true story. It's just literally something that I thought about just writing it, you know. I just thought, you know, with shanties and folk music, you know, a lot of shanties include a lot of drink. And when the wife or the girlfriend comes involved, then it turns into that sort of love triangle, because the girlfriend is trying to persuade you not to drink as much as you can, you know, spend a bit more time with me sort of thing, you know. You know, can you not do that? So that's the sort of the story behind that. I suppose it's directed towards those that are married. It's like, yeah, you got your drink, it's great, you can have a bit of fun with it, but on the other hand, you've got your wife, you've got your partner, spend a bit more time with them.
Drink a little less. But you're right, a lot of shanty songs are revolved around drink, aren't they? Is Drunken Sailor a shanty?
Yeah, some of the songs are also known as call and response. So, you know, Drunken Sailor, Nelson's Blood sort of thing, they are a typical call and response song. So, you know, what should we do with a drunken sailor? Well, hold on, I'll tell you, sort of thing.
Okay.
I'll tell you and you tell me back, sort of thing. So, you know, so what should we do with a drunken sailor? Well, let's put him in a whaler and make him pull her. Or put him in a longboat till he's sober. The longboat being the sort of like the rescue boat or something. Just dump him in there, wake up till he's sober, sort of thing. So a lot of those are called a response, and yes, they're probably about drink as well. But there is one song that actually describes the sailor escaping his loved one. It's called Bully in the Alley. Now, Bully in the Alley is about...
I know that one. Yes, I didn't know what it was about though.
Yeah. So the story is, so the Bully in the Alley. So it's a pub in the backyard. The man's drunk, needs to get away from his wife. He goes into the backyard. Can't get found then. That's exactly what Bully in the Alley is all about. It's where the sailors go when they're drunk.
Right. Okay. Hiding from their wife. Are you still there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Brilliant. So what have you got coming up? I think I saw you had shanties by candlelight. I'm not sure if you've already done them.
So that's something, it's something in the works.
That's in the works.
Whether it's going to go ahead this year is another question. It's in the works, but the plan is to go do 4 churches in Devon and 4 churches in Cornwall. And obviously by candlelight, when I mean by candlelight, either real candles or the little battery switch on candles. So the plan is I'll be joined by a special guest every church. So that's the sort of plan, really. Shanties by candlelight was something that I thought it would be. It sounded quite good at the time. It got a nice ring to it.
It does. It would. Yeah. So there's something that kind of contrasting about it. As we just discussed, shanties and beer and drink being, you often hear it in a pub, but to hear it in a church would be different. And also, I think it would sound great, wouldn't it? Just with the high ceilings.
Yeah, especially with the acoustics.
The acoustics, that's it.
I was at a wedding on. I was at a wedding on Saturday, and they got my friends, they got married in a church on Saturday. And this church was absolutely unbelievable. It was probably one of the nicest churches I've been in. I just, you know, you look around, you start singing. I sort of wanted to belt out Cornwall, my home, and that's sort of like the unofficial national anthem of Cornwall. I really wanted to belt that out because I thought this sounds really good in here.
Love that. I do love that song. I wish Essex had a song like that. Is that one that you could just belt out at any time? you know well.
Yeah, don't even need the words.
Wow.
You know, the first time I sang it, I had the words, and then after that, it just became so easy to remember. When there's a lot of Cornish contingent at festivals, it becomes poignant that you should sing it, and some people do actually cry because it's quite. It's a melodic song that flows quite smooth. A lot of it is just. A lot of the Cornish contingent do get a little bit upset by it because it's quite it's a teary song when you put your mind to it.
There's a line in it, isn't it? And something about this. I shall die here, for this is my home, or something. Is that right? Or have I got the wrong song?
So it's the last verse. So it's now you've got me thinking. First thing in the morning on Chapel Carnbury, I gaze at the cities and the blue far away. But this is my Cornwall. I'll tell you why. I was born here.
That's it.
I was born here, and this is where I shall die.
Yeah, I completely messed it up, but something like that.
That's the spoken version.
Great. So I've nearly covered everything I was going to. I just usually ask, what have you been finding most difficult so far about being a musician or an artist?
Getting gigs is quite difficult. I mean, I've got a couple coming up. I'm in Totnes tomorrow for the Totnes Fringe Festival, and then Saturday I'm at Cherry Pie Fair, which is where I live. So there's a little village called Hook Hills, so they do a cherry pie fair. I'll quickly recap. So there's 3 villages. So you've got Galpton, they celebrate the Gooseberry Pie Fair.
Yep.
Which is just down the road. Hook Hills is where I live, so we celebrate the Cherry Pie Fair. And then in Malden, which is a village just probably about 15 minutes down the road, they celebrate the Apple Pie Fair.
Okay.
It's weird, but a lot of my music is down at festivals. So, I've got Western Supermare at the end of the month, which is it's almost on par with Falmouth International Shanty Festival.
Okay.
But the organisers of Western like to keep it a community feel, which I get, which I really do get, and I like the community feel.
Any chance you get yourself at Falmouth?
I'm pushing for next year.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Okay, I've got some quick fire questions.
I've done it before. Go on then.
Is that all right? To get to know you a bit better. So, what was the first song? What was the first song you ever loved?
Oh, probably No More Heroes by the Stranglers.
Okay. You just remember hearing that as a child, do you? And it just got you into music?
My brain is like a musicalised encyclopedia.
Right.
It's constant tunes going up in my head.
Yes. So it wasn't an old shanty you first heard then?
No, like I say, because I'm very new to shanties, but I enjoy the music. I enjoy the camaraderie as well amongst other shanty groups, and you all share the same love. You want to make people happy.
So the second question is, what would be a dream venue to play?
Dream venue? That's a tough one. I don't know, probably a really big theatre somewhere.
Big theatre? Somewhere with high ceilings?
Hey, look, Abbott Hall would be quite good, wouldn't it?
Yes, a few people have said that one. And who is an artist you'd love to open for? The Fisherman's Friends? Or is that a bit too similar?
I'd love to open. Actually,
yeah,
probably the Pogues. I mean, they're an Irish folky band. They don't do many shanties, so I suppose I'd probably like to open for the Pogues.
Yeah, that's a good one. 2 more. Would you prefer singing in the studio or a live performance out to people?
Singing to people, of course.
I thought you'd say that. That's sort of what you do, isn't it? And finally, what is one song that you wish you'd written? So if any of those shanties...
Oh, one song that I wish that's a tough one, because there's so many that I like and I wish I could have written. There's one by the Longest John. It's called One More Pull. One More Pull. That would be one I would love to have written. It's a sad song, but it's about one more pull to shore, boys. That'll do. We're nearly home, sort of thing. We're nearly home, and once we're home, we're done.
Yeah. Now you say the words there, I recognise that one. I think that's the thing with a lot of these shanties. People know them without realising you know them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like Wild Rover, for instance.
Yes.
Everybody knows that.
It's been covered with different lyrics, hasn't it? A lot.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I stick to traditional.
That's it. Great. Well, I'm pleased we've finally been able to have this chat. You're the first person singing shanties I've been able to talk to.
Well, there's plenty more surprises in the box.
Any likelihood of coming up this way? Are your shanties staying down around the southwest at the moment?
I tried Harwich, which is London way.
Oh yeah. How was that?
But they said no, so I'll try again next year.
So it's the festivals you're looking for, really, rather than one-off gigs anywhere?
Mainly festivals. Maybe a beer and cider festival here, there, and everywhere. But a lot of these beer and cider festivals, they don't understand that the importance of shanties is where they probably originated from, because it's all about the beer and it's all about the camaraderie between the sailors, the workers on the ship. That's what it's all about.
Did you tell a lot of stories during your set? It's all about the stories.
Yeah, I tend to drop a few stories in there. I'm like, well, this song's about this and this, that, and the other. I always sing about men, women, and drink. It's to keep them thinking.
What's this one?
That's the real life. That's the real life right there.
So where can people find you? Find you online? You're Brad the Shanty Man.
So Bradley the Solo Shanty Man can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
And on YouTube.
YouTube.
I'll try and link in a couple of songs into this chat.
Yeah, there's a couple on there that you could try and link into. It's a pleasure to be able to get on the podcast, because I've listened to a few of the guys that you've had on the podcast, and I think that they've come across very well. So yeah, it's been great to get on here, and I appreciate you doing this out of the love of the music and the people that you want to get to know.
Thank you. Yeah, that's exactly why I'm doing it. It's all good fun and great to meet different people.